The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. And, of course, you can always send an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio site at www.xzoneradio.com. My guest this hour is the one and only Corey Kay. Listeners of the X-Zone know Corey as being one of our producers when we were with the Talkstar Radio Network many years ago. Corey is now the gentleman behind the XZoneTechZone.com, but starting this weekend, Corey has his own show right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, High Tech with Corey Kay. Joining me now from someplace in Florida, because we don't want people flogging his house and disturbing him. That's why we just say someplace in Florida, is the one and only Corey Kay. And hey, Corey Kay.
Hey, how's everything going?
It's going good, my man. Hey, listen, let our listeners know what High Tech with Corey Kay is all about.
Well, I want to focus on the education piece. I just don't think there's enough educational radio programs out there, so I want to fill in that gap, and hopefully we'll have some fun along the way.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Looking forward to it. Now, listen, I have to ask you something. You know, what is all this hype about Pokemon?
Oh, it's unbelievable. The latest I heard today is, I believe, from Bosnia, and they're telling people not to go in areas where there's unexploded landmines while playing Pokemon Go.
You have to be kidding.
It dead serious. And then a couple of teenagers in Canada got arrested also recently for walking across the U.S.-Canada border while playing Pokemon Go.
I heard last week where a guy who actually walked off a cliff.
Yeah, and then somebody walked off a cliff. Somebody ran into a police patrol car.
Oh, Jesus.
It's out of control.
Like, tell our listeners what Pokemon is all about.
Well, Pokemon's been this phenomenon for a while. I think it really, if it didn't introduce anime to the U.S., it at least took it to a new level, and you have all these Poke animals fighting, and what's interesting about this game is people have to go outside to play it, and I was supposed to talk with my son the other day, and he said he couldn't talk right now. And he said he was playing outside, and I'm like, wow, playing outside, that's a positive change right there. He's like, yeah, I'm outside playing Pokemon Go.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So what do they do?
Well, you know, I only have a cursory understanding because I'm on a Windows Phone, and it's just not compatible. But now that this game is out, I'm thinking of finally upgrading my phone again. But you have these Poke animals, and they have these balls in their hands, and you throw them, and they become more animals. They fight with each other, and there you go.
So people are actually looking for animals that carry their balls in their hands.
That's right. Yeah.
Sounds a little...
Yeah, and you can get... they have their own currency, play for Poke Coins, which is not bail.
Oy vey, you and I have to take our break. Please stand by. I can just see animals carrying their balls. Late night radio, what can I say? All the gloves are off, and the animals are carrying their balls. Okay. Corey K is our special guest, www.x... oh, my God. Corey, what's the website?
XZoneTechZone.com.
We'll be back on the other side as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, where animals are not allowed to carry their balls in our studios. We'll be back. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com.
Corey K is our guest to this hour, Exonation, www.exonetechzone.com. Is this going to be the start of a new fad where these apps are going to be more interactive with the users, the participants, and that we're going to have more kids and people walking off of cliffs into lakes and into moving vehicles?
I think so, and they're calling it augmented reality. And they're still developing virtual reality games, which we've been hearing about for decades now. Mm-hmm. But I think augmented reality is really where it's going, and Pokemon Go's kind of leading the way But we already, just in its first month, we have articles like this from Health Day News that says, play Pokemon Go without landing in the ER, and it has tips for how to stay safe while playing these games. And it seems like common sense stuff too, like focus on everything around you. To tell people that.
It seems that common sense goes out the door when people pick up smartphones. And maybe that's why they call them smartphones, because the phones are smarter than the people that use them.
Oh, yeah. It's, man, there's people getting shot at for playing this game. In Guatemala, a couple of people were killed, possibly so that someone could steal the game, or maybe they just walked into a bad neighborhood. It's hard to say, but we're actually having fatal accidents now. It's not so good. But on the other hand, in my parents' neighborhood, there are more children out and about in the neighborhood than I've seen in years. They're just coming out of the woodworks here.
Well, maybe that's a pro. Maybe we should look at it through positive light, but maybe the programmers of these games should also realize that people, when they're playing these games, are actually losing sense of their surroundings and are actually getting hurt.
Yeah, and maybe they'll build a new kind of safety mechanism. Usually when we think of computer security, we think of securing access to a network, protecting data, but now maybe we'll have an expanded definition of security where we think about physical security while using these devices and apps.
Speaking about security, what's your take on the latest hack into the DNC where an administrative assistant of the Clinton campaign said that they believe the Russians actually hacked the DNC computers and leaked the emails to WikiLeaks in order to give Donald Trump the upper hand in the upcoming November election?
Oh, that one is quite a stretch, I'd have to say. But it's funny because leading up to this, a lot of people were saying that Vladimir Putin would really like to see Donald Trump elected, and we're not 100% sure of the motives, whether he thinks it would make America look bad or because of Trump's past dealings in business with Russia, that maybe they would just make good partners. It's hard to say, but to say they hacked it to release the information to WikiLeaks, that's a bit of a stretch.
I thought so as well. What is the consensus down in the States with the past Republican RNC presidential nomination, and what's going on with the the Democratic convention?
Well, the thing that I think a lot of people didn't like is that Ted Cruz refused to endorse Trump at the Republican National Convention, and he actually got booed at the convention for that. And I'm not 100% sure what he hoped to gain by that, other than he might be positioning himself at some point in the future to maybe lead some new wing of the Republican Party, but that's going to be years down the road.
Yeah, well, Bernie Sanders was booed by his own supporters for backing Hillary Clinton today.
Yeah, that happened too. It seems like a couple of my neighbors, they're still volunteering for the Bernie campaign, and even though it seems like it's over, there's a lot of hardcore supporters there that would like to see him do an independent bid, but I don't know if he tried to do that.
Well, I don't think he can do that now that he's endorsed Hillary Clinton. Yeah,
exactly. Kind of threw that possibility out the door, but Rand Paul's supporters in the past, or excuse me, not Rand Paul, but Ron Paul, the senior.
Right.
He has a loyal following over the years, and I don't know. Sometimes these people don't see reality at a certain point.
Another story in the news today, Verizon buys Yahoo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, last year it was AOL, and now it's Yahoo. This is more consolidation going on in the tech industry. At a certain point, I think we have to say that we're oversaturated, especially in the cable television industry. Bright House and Time Warner just became Charter, and then Verizon's cable business became Frontier, and then there's Comcast. But outside of those big three, there's not a lot of players left, so we're just seeing massive consolidation there.
What is all this leading to? You know, it seems that Microsoft is buying everything it can, including Skype. And now you've got Verizon, bought AOL, bought Yahoo. Is it going to be the battle of the giants with the consumer being the victims here?
I just don't see this degree of centralization as being a good thing. Mm-hmm. I think at some point we need some sort of antitrust effort again. It's something that we haven't talked about in a long time, but I think we might need to do it because historically monopolies have never been a good thing. So I just don't see it as being a good thing.
In your opinion, when you look at the computer market itself, as well as the suppliers, what can they do to make service better? Like if they're, I understand that they're opening up more gateways, they're opening up bandwidth. It seems that the computer industry is taking over the media industry. People aren't buying televisions anymore.
Yeah, it's completely taken over. The only downfall so far with the subscription services is I don't think they're priced low enough just yet. If you start to add up the cost of a few of these channel packages, you're basically back to paying cable prices.
Yes,
so,
you are.
Yeah, you really are. But at the same time, there's a lot of low-cost subscription services like Netflix and Hulu, and they're really catching on. I haven't had a cable subscription in years, and it's because of that. And I just think we're going to see more and more of that.
Are there any pros and cons to the IP phones that people are using?
Well, the biggest con is if you're talking on an IP phone and you're watching video on the internet at the same time, there is a chance that your connection's going to be choppy.
Right.
Now, they've gotten better over the years. I remember back in the Talkstar days, we were trying Vonage for the first time, and we couldn't do anything on the internet and talk at the same time. It was bad.
I remember asking you, Corey, is this a toll call or is this internet? And I know that you were told to say it was a toll call, and I knew it was the internet.
Oh, man.
But another thing people don't realize, that if you're on an IP system, the internet goes down, you've got no phone.
Yeah, that's right. So you have to have emergency backups. You've got to have a landline if access to emergency services is going to be an issue. Now, you do have some duplication going on. You could have cell phone emergency service as a backup, so that'll work in some areas, but you have to be in an area that will actually get good cell phone signal.
Exactly. As much as I hate paying my Bell Canada bill, Bell Canada, if you're listening, you know that's how I feel. It's a necessity. You know, we've had cable companies, and we toyed with an IP phone. It just isn't the same as having a hard-wired phone.
Yeah, not the same at all. And,
Yep.
To an extent, it's the same way with wireless versus wired
Big
internet.
time. Yeah.
I need a stable connection going to my video devices and video players because I just don't want the show being interrupted, and I know I'm not going to get that reliability with wireless, so I just run a cable to it. And but wireless services are getting better too. Now we have something called WiGig, where you can get gigabit speeds, 1 gigabit per second speeds over wireless, which is unthinkable 9 years ago.
Hey, Corey K., you and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by, old friend. Great sharing the airwaves with you again, Corey, and congratulations on your new show, my man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Corey K is back on the air. And we'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide on XZBN. That's the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. I'm Rob McConnell, and welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Today on the X-Zone, skulls from the Triangle of the Ancient Gods. It was high in the mountains of Peru where Canadian television producers B. and Bob Connolly discovered the giant elongated skulls of an ancient civilization that may be, in fact, the key to the extraterrestrial connection. Their interactive CD, In Search of Ancient Wisdom, contains several photographs of these skulls, which includes animation that depicts the similarity of the skulls to the ancient statues of King Knoeggten of Egypt. Elongated skulls and conehead skulls have also been discovered in the shadow of the Great Pyramids in Egypt and near the ancient Aztec temples in Central America. Elongated skulls, terrestrial or extraterrestrial? Join me, Rob McConnell, for another story from the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology when next we meet in the X-Zone, the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. From the International Desk at the Canadian News Network, I'm Rob McConnell. Defense Secretary Ash Carter is casting doubt on prospects for a military partnership with Russia to combat the Islamic State inside Syria. At a Pentagon news conference Monday, Carter says the Russians are a long way from aligning their military focus with that of the United States. Carter says the Russians should be combating the Islamic State rather than the moderate opposition that must be part of a political transition that could end Syria's civil war. Secretary of State John Kerry has been talking to senior Russian officials about a proposal in which the U.S. would share intelligence and targeting information with the Russians. Hillary Clinton's campaign scrambled to extinguish a political firestorm over embarrassing hacked emails Monday, hoping a high-wattage lineup of speakers, including First Lady Michelle Obama and Liberal favorite Bernie Sanders, would overshadow party infighting on the Democratic Convention's opening night. Clinton escaped one politically ugly moment when the outgoing party chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, announced that she would not take the stage. The Florida Congresswoman was angrily heckled by her own home state delegation Monday morning, and Democratic officials feared a similar scene in front of a far bigger TV audience. Wasserman Schultz is leaving her post following the publication of thousands of emails suggesting the Democratic National Committee favored Clinton during her primary contest with Sanders, despite vowing to remain neutral. A Syrian man who tried unsuccessfully to claim asylum in Germany pledged allegiance to the Islamic State group and vowed the nation's people won't be able to sleep peacefully anymore in a cell phone video before blowing himself up outside a wine bar, wounding 15 people, authorities said Monday. The assailant set off a backpack laden with explosive and shrapnel Sunday night after being refused entry to a crowded music festival in the Bavarian city of Ansbach because he didn't have a ticket. It was the fourth attack to shake Germany in a week and the second claimed by the Islamic State group. Gunfire erupted at a nightclub hosting a swimsuit-themed party for teens in Florida, leaving 2 teens dead and at least 17 other people wounded, officials said Monday. It was not immediately clear what triggered the violence, but authorities said the shooting was not an act of terror. Police detained 3 people and were searching for others, Interim Police Chief Dennis Eade said. The slain teens were 14-year-old Sean Archilles and 18-year-old Stefan Strouder, police said. Archilles lived about a mile from the nightclub and loved to play football and basketball, said his father, Gene. He liked to make people laugh. Seeking a wider digital audience, Verizon is buying Yahoo for $4.83 billion in a deal that makes the end of an era for a company that defined much of the early internet but struggled to stay relevant in an online world dominated by Google and Facebook. It's the second time in as many years that Verizon has snapped up remnants of a falling internet star. The nation's largest wireless carrier paid $4.4 billion for AOL last year. The 2 brands will be rolled into the same operation. We have an enormous respect for what Yahoo has accomplished. This transaction is about unleashing Yahoo's full potential, AOL CEO Tim Armstrong said in a statement. For 2 years and more, it has been a lost ship, a metal container carrying 239 souls that simply disappeared one late Asian night, never to be seen again. And now the search for the remains of Malaysian airline Flight 370 will likely become a thing of memory too. With Friday's announcement that the meticulous ocean search for the missing jetliner will be suspended, in effect called off, one of the decade's most tantalizing unanswered questions is headed toward becoming, in effect, a cold case. I'm not surprised it's coming to an end without any answers, Tony Wong, a businessman in Kuala Lumpur, said on Monday. From the Canadian News Network in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, I'm Rob McConnell. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere. 24/7, 365.
Welcome back, everyone. Corey K. is our special guest of this hour, www.xzonetechzone.com. Corey, what's new in the world of high tech? Are there any new gadgets, any new computer systems coming out? What can you tell us?
Well, it's kind of strange. We're in a strange period where there are, I guess, legacy brands disappearing. You have Nokia phones, which are pretty much going away. Now that Microsoft has acquired them, it seems like Microsoft is going to try to promote this idea of a Surface phone, but I don't think they're going to be able to separate themselves enough from the competition. It's a case of too little, too late, and they're going to have to really rethink their mobile strategy. Mm-hmm. Now, the big news coming out of Microsoft this week is this is the last week for the free Windows 10 upgrade. So if you think you might want to upgrade, you better do it now and don't wait till the last day, because if something goes wrong, you might find yourself in more trouble than you bargained for, because we hear from people every day where something does go wrong. So upgrade now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I can just see it now. Everybody's going to upgrade, and within the next year and a half, Windows going to come out with Windows 11.
Yeah, it's a guarantee. Now, the propaganda they're putting out right now is that Windows 10 is going to be the last Windows. They're just going to release update packs from now on. We'll see if that actually happens. A lot can really change, and I think that they've had a lot of success making some sort of a differentiated product every 3 or 4 years, and I don't think they'll be able to get away from that, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Now, something I wanted to tell the listeners about that upgrade process. Some people bought a computer that was Windows 10 capable, but they chose to downgrade it to 7 at the factory, and that was all user choice. They shipped with recovery disks, and those recovery disks are not going to be enough to do an upgrade to Windows 10. You must go through the Windows 7 update process, so now is a good week to do it before it causes problems later on.
What's going to happen with Apple? We don't hear a lot about Apple anymore. It seems that Apple is fading away. The Apple is starting to crinkle.
Not only that, but I think they're making a huge mistake releasing the new iPhone without the headphone jack. Now, the good news is there are alternatives. Instead of using a TRS audio jack, you could use maybe a USB-C to headphone, or you could use Bluetooth headphones, and I think that's what they have in mind, but I don't think that customers are used to that type of product. They like the traditional headphones. Really nobody has the other type of accessories, so unless Apple's planning on making that accessory and trying to create a market for it like it did with iPods, I think this one's going to backfire on them.
But what happened? Apple used to be the hot kid in town. Like, everyone wanted Apple. Apple couldn't do anything wrong. Then all of a sudden it seems that Apple is petering off and Microsoft is gaining ground.
Yeah, they haven't come out with any new innovations, and they almost seem like they were in crisis mode when they started releasing the 6 series of iPhones, because they didn't go from 6 to 7 in their normal time period. They did just versions of 6. They did a 6C and a 6S, and they haven't really come out with a 7 until now, and it took them a long time to get there. And the one big change to the new product seems to be a negative change, because everywhere I go, I see people using their smartphones with headphone jacks. So I think they're playing Russian roulette with that strategy.
Are there any up and new computer companies coming up that are going to be offering home computers and business computers like Microsoft is, like HP, Dell, or Apple?
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting. There have been many startups. We've seen the rise of crowdfunding, where anyone with a business idea can just throw it out there, and at least some companies have been successful in getting donations, whereas in the past they would have had to apply for a business loan with a bank. The sad news is a lot of these startup products, they aren't really taking off, and I don't know if it's because they're not advertising the products properly, or the products get reported in the tech news and they think that that's enough, that could spread to the general public. Maybe it's not enough.
So there seems to be a lack of marketing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. In fact, there was an Android video game console system a few years ago. It was called the Oh Yeah, and it just never took off.
That's because you weren't the poster child.
That's right. That's right. They should have hired me.
That's right. What about video games? Like 4K TVs are out now. Are we going to see a higher quality of video games? And what about 3D TVs? When are they going to make the home theater affordable? Like right now, my gosh, I went to Best Buy the other day to look at a 3D TV, and I would have had to sell all the kids, the house, Laura, the whole bit.
Oh yeah. I think the pricing will come down. 3D TVs, they haven't taken off well enough because it's not just about the movies. The types of movies that people seem to be going for, they are good matches for the 3D format, but television shows are not 3D, and I think that's going to hamper the adoption of them. Something else that's surprising me with these 4K and 5K displays, you're getting laptops that are smaller and smaller, and they want them to use less and less battery, but you have this tiny laptop device, and I hear from people every day who are trying to connect them to giant 4K displays, and at that point, it's not portable, and you're asking this tiny little device to have enough power for these very powerful displays, and the technology is actually keeping up surprisingly well, but I'm just always surprised when somebody calls in and they wonder why their battery drained, and they're trying to run this tiny micro laptop with a giant 4K display.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What's the most common problem that people seek your advice on, Corey?
Lately, it's been the Windows 10 upgrade process. It's so different from Windows 7 and before that even people who recently retired in the tech industry, they don't even understand how big a change it is. And not that many people adopted Windows 8. Windows 8 could have given people some sort of comfort level with the changes that you see in Windows 10, but not enough people adopted it. So when Windows 8 came around, we thought people were going to be confused. The calls would be coming in, all of this. Not enough people, especially in the small and medium business market, not enough people adopted it. So we really didn't get that many calls. But Windows 10, it's almost every call right now.
Got a question for you here from Josh, who's listening to us in Portland, Oregon. He'd like to know, what, in your opinion, is the best PC antivirus device for a Windows-based unit?
I have only one answer for that, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say Microsoft Security Essentials, which it's actually becoming Windows Defender right now. Now, some people are surprised by that answer, but it's the only one that doesn't gum up your machine. There is one more that comes somewhat close. I've had some success with Avast antivirus, but you have to be very careful with any antivirus program and how you configure it, because if you tell any of them to scan every single web page before it loads, it is going to slow down your browsing experience. So, there are shortcomings to Security Essentials. I've heard other programs are better at this or that, but I really don't want a antivirus program that is superior at detecting everything under the sun and every possible threat, but slows your PC down to a crawl. So that's why I'm sticking with my answer.
I installed on my personal machine AVG and AVG PC tune-up.
Yeah.
Screwed my system up royally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I believe it.
Screwed it right up. I had to do a recover.
I believe this. And I'm glad you were able to recover. Actually, here's a challenge I have for the listeners. I'm sure someone out there's been able to do it, but I had friends give me 7 laptops and PCs in the past few weeks, and I tried a feature that's in Windows 8 and 10 called Reset This PC. It's supposed to be the new version of the clean reinstall, and it didn't work on a single one of the machines. Whoa. Every single one said, Reset This PC has failed. Now, on Windows 8 it worked. Windows 10 didn't work so much.
Why did they change? Like, couldn't they have just adapted the Windows 8 to look like Windows 10? Did they really have to? Like, what's the big difference?
Well, I don't think the Metro tiles really took off because not that many people were buying touch screens. Oh. Now, the weird part about this, I guess it was a timing thing.
Yeah.
At that time, people weren't ready. But now that people are getting accustomed to phones and tablets and phablets and they're getting used to these touch gestures, we're hearing from more and more people who are buying touch screens. So at some point in time, they may want to, I guess, give it another try. But overall, I'm pleased with Windows 10. It's not without its problems. That's for sure.
I must tell you, I haven't had any major problems with Windows 10, and it works great on my big HP Pavilion that I have at home. I just love it, and I was really hesitant, and as you well know, Corey, you and I discussed Windows 10, before it even came out. And, well, I stand corrected with Microsoft for once.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction for sure. Now, something new that could be coming in another week or so. We're looking to see if Microsoft is going to announce that Windows 10 is available as a subscription. It's pretty widely rumored that they are going to do that. So instead of paying $120 flat, you may rent it for $6 or $7 a month instead. Now, over time, say 2 years or more, you are going to end up paying more for it than if you bought it outright. So that's something to think about. Yeah. But it's just like you said, by that time, they may have some version of Windows 11 or equivalent. So we'll see.
All right, I've got another question for you, Corey. This is from Sandra in Winnipeg, Manitoba, listening to us on XZBN. She was listening earlier tonight, and I was talking about subliminal advertising on the computer using the web. She would like to know your opinion if companies are using subliminal advertising while you're surfing the web.
Oh, yeah. Now, I don't think there's been a concentrated effort to do it. I think that's something we're going to see in the future. Somebody's going to catch on, realize that subliminal advertising is going to be effective, and we're going to see more concentrated efforts in the future to do that. But if you ever want to
for Trump.
See something scary. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Corey. I was just saying vote for Trump in the background.
Oh, man. I'll let you know if it works in a few months.
So it is possible. Like I was saying, if they could do it on TV, they could certainly do it on the internet.
Oh, yeah. And if you go online, go to Google, you can they actually let you download the data that they've collected on you.
Really?
And I can't believe I never mentioned this tool before because it's been around for a few years, but you can go online and get a tool called Cookie Monster, and it actually lets you inspect cookies as they're being collected from your computer and you get to see exactly what information you're sending to all of these websites, and they are building profiles on you, marketing profiles. That is a fact. And big companies like Google and Facebook, they're not even ashamed about it. They'll just let you download this data, this profile that they've collected on you.
Corey, you and I have to take our final break. Please stand by, old friend. X-Zone Nation Corey K is our guest. He is the host of High Tech with Corey K, debuting this weekend right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. And if you'd like to ask Corey any questions about computers, high tech, whatever, guys, keep it within the high tech, okay? Because I know Corey's a smart guy, but let's just keep it to high tech and computers and software problems. XZoneTechZone.com. And Corey and I return as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
I'm Rob McConnell, and welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Today on the X-Zone, what is the Star of Bethlehem? Who would ever have thought that the Rosetta Stone to the identity of the Star of Bethlehem would have been found on an ancient Roman coin that was purchased in the spring of 1991 by astronomer and coin collector Dr. Michael Molnar. Upon examining his newly acquired coin, Dr. Molnar noticed that the inscription of the coin was actually telling an astrological story about the Star of Bethlehem. Using his facilities at Reuters University and the philosophy of astrology, Dr. Molnar was able to identify the Star of Bethlehem as a rare planetary alignment of the planet Jupiter, being in the house of Aries on April the 17th, 6 BC, the birth date of Jesus Christ. These findings were supported by additional findings as well. Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Corey K is our special guest this hour. He is the host of High Tech with Corey K right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And if you'd like to send or visit Corey's website where he answers questions from the members of the X-Zone Nation, www.xzonetechzone.com. Corey, I've got one more question for you, my friend. This is from Lynn, who's listening to us here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. and she's listening to us on ipbnradio.com. Lynn would like to know what is meant by she clicks a certain website, a message pops up, and this is a quote, something to do with the site certificate. Corey, what does this mean?
That is a very good question, and I'll tell you what's going on there. Basically, whenever you go to a website, you can use the older protocol, which is HTTP, or you could use the newer secure protocol, which is HTTPS. And where it's been confusing for the user for years, these HTTPS sites, they're actually more secure than a regular website. But when people see that certificate warning, they kind of go into panic mode and they think that something's wrong. They shouldn't go there. So they'll click away from it. And I hate to put the blame all on one company, but I blame Microsoft largely for that.
Say it isn't so.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Because I'm not going to say I never see it on other browsers, but they were the first ones I saw it at, and they still haven't figured it out after all these years. Now, they're on the flip side, each company that has these HTTPS websites, they could do the smart thing and upgrade their certificates. Even big companies, I've seen them let their certificates expire, and these big companies, they don't even notice.
Wow.
So it could just be that their certificate is out of date, but it doesn't mean that there's a real danger there. But I think where the mechanism really breaks down is there are fraudulent sites that could have the same type of warning because they can't get a certificate. So I think until they figure out a better way to alert the users that companies should just take the time and effort to update their security certificates, and it'll be a lot easier for people to know who to trust.
Well, as always, Corey, time goes by so fast, but once again, congratulations on your new show. I look forward to hearing the wonderful remarks from our listening audience, and until the next time we meet, my good friend, take care of yourself. Regards to Lynn, Chance, and of course, George. How's George doing, by the way?
He's doing good. He's been sitting here the whole time.
Hi, George.
Oh, man, those were good questions. I could do whole hour-long shows on each of those questions.
Well, all right, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time you meet us back here in the X Zone. But once again, congratulations on your new show and X Zone Nation. Corey's show, High Tech with Corey K, airs this weekend on the X Zone. To find out all the programming that we have coming to you from the XZBN, visit www.xzbn.net. So that's it for tonight, everyone. I want to thank one and all for joining us on tomorrow night's show. We have, let me see here. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is right there. We have Craig Webb talking about dreams. We have Jeff Danilick talking about the strange, the weird, the bizarre, and Preston Dennett talking about UFOs. Until tomorrow night, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.